Guys, after the first 4 days of Giants training camp, one thing had already become pretty clear. The defense has been setting the tone for almost every single practice, while the offense is still trying to find its rhythm under a new system and with quarterback Jaxson Dart. So, all eyes were on day 5 because this was the Giants' first padded practice, the first real test of physical football. But instead of seeing the offense take a step forward, it was the defense that dominated once again. So, let me break down everything that happened during the Giants' first padded practice, why the offense had such a difficult day, and which defensive players stole the show. What's up, Big Blue? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Giants. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Okay, so day 5 of camp was the first day in full pads, and honestly, the timing could not have been worse for the offense. There was a downpour of rain for about an hour during the middle of practice, and John Harbaugh actually addressed it afterwards, saying, "You've got to be able to play through those situations." And look, I respect that mentality. Football does not stop for weather, but the rain was not the only reason things looked so messy out there. The offense was sloppy today, like genuinely sloppy. The team combined for 14 penalties across roughly 68 plays of team drills, and 9 of those flags belonged to the offense compared to 5 on the defensive side. John Harbaugh tried to downplay it a little, saying the offense is still working through some new cadences with Jaxson Dart under center, and honestly, I have noticed that about Harbaugh already this camp. Anytime something looks like a problem, he tends to pour a little water on the fire instead of making it a bigger deal than it needs to be. But let's be real here, guys. There is no way Harbaugh is happy about 14 penalties in one practice. No head coach would be. And here is something kind of funny, though. Defensive coordinator Dennard Wilson apparently has his own way of dealing with penalties. He makes the defense do 10 push-ups for every single flag they commit. Defensive tackle DJ Reader said the defense had about 5 penalties today, so that is 50 push-ups right there. Meanwhile, the offensive guys who jump early usually just get subbed out for a play. I mean, I kind of like that the defense has this accountability built in already. It shows some discipline, even if the numbers were not perfect today. Now, I get it. It is camp. Mistakes are part of the process. That is literally what practice is for. But we are 5 practices into training camp now, and it is officially week 2. The walkthroughs are done. This is the point where you want to see things start to tighten up, not fall apart in the rain. And unfortunately, today did not show that kind of progress from the offense. Think about it this way. 14 penalties in one practice is not a small number by any measure. That is nearly a flag every 4 or 5 plays. And when 9 of those 14 are coming from your offense, that tells you exactly where the issues are right now. It is not really about talent. It is about the details, snap counts, timing, and discipline before the ball is even snapped. Those are things that get fixed with reps and with focus. Not overnight, but they need to start trending in the right direction soon. One of the tougher moments came when Jaxson Dart had the ball slip right out of his hand while throwing, and it turned into an easy interception for Jevon Holland. Now, to be fair, the ball was wet. That happens. You cannot really hang that one entirely on him. But it kind of summed up the day for the offense as a whole. They struggled to move the ball consistently, and the sloppiness was there from start to finish. Reporters who were at practice, guys like Pat Leonard, noted that Jaxson Dart's first-team offense sputtered badly early on and even went 4 and out during a situational period late in practice. That is not the kind of headline you want to see out of your starting quarterback's first padded session. And look, I am not here to panic. This is a brand new offensive system, and Dart is only in year 2 as a quarterback. Growing pains are expected, but it is time, guys. It is time for this offense to start stacking good days and building some real consistency, especially with a Week 1 showdown against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football coming up. And, there is actually a good quote that ties into all of this. Dan Salamone over at Giants.com shared that Harbaugh called the second week of training camp a critical time, saying this is when the team really needs to cover the most ground and build. And when you think about it, that comment feels directed right at this offense. It is time to put things into drive. Okay, now let's talk about the receiver room for a second, because there is a real battle brewing at wide receiver too. Coming into camp, most people assumed it would come down to Darius Slayton and Darnell Mooney. But rookie Malachi Fields has quietly forced his way into that conversation, and I mean quietly is not even the right word anymore because he has been loud about it on the field. Today he came down with a beautiful contested catch on a go ball in 7-on-7 drills, reaching out and somehow keeping both feet in bounds. And this is not a one-time thing either. We saw him connect with Jaxson Dart on a similar deep shot during Saturday's practice too. So, there is clearly some real chemistry building between those two, and that is exactly the kind of thing you want to see from a young quarterback and a rookie receiver heading into the season. Calvin Austin also had a noteworthy day today, which is good to see honestly, because he had been quiet through the spring and the offseason program after being one of the bigger names coming out of OTAs. Back then, it felt like every single practice report mentioned him making a play. Then camp started and things went quiet for a bit. I still think he is a lock to make this roster, but it is nice seeing him show up once the pads come on, especially for a smaller receiver who relies on quickness. That is usually when you find out who can really handle the physical part of the game, when the hitting actually starts and the routes get contested instead of clean. Then there was also a nice moment involving receiver Dalen Cambray, who ripped the ball away from a defensive back during one of the 7-on-7 periods today. It is not the biggest name in that receiver room, but it is exactly the kind of competitive, physical rep that coaches love to see from depth guys trying to carve out a role. Behind center, backup quarterback Jameis Winston did not have the best day either. He went just 8 of 21 in team drills and was missing some open guys according to reporters on the ground. Honestly, though, I am not too worried about that. Winston is a proven veteran in this league. He has shown us plenty over the years that he can go out there and play well when it actually matters. Hopefully we never even need to see him this season, but if we do, I trust his experience. And then there is Malik Nabers. He was back on the practice field today, going through receiver drills and taking some reps in install periods with the offense, but he was held out of the full team 11-on-11 work. So, still a fairly light workload as he continues working his way back into camp. I do not think the coaching staff is going to rush him into full team reps anytime soon, and honestly, they should not. There is no benefit to pushing him before he is truly ready. But here is my honest take. I think this entire offense looks different the moment Malik Nabers is out there running full speed, because he is easily the #1 receiver on this roster. Harbaugh has already said the team is not going to rush him, and I completely agree with that approach. Alright, let's shift over to the defense now, because this is where the real energy of camp has been living. If the offense has been the story of struggle through the first week and a half, the defense has been the complete opposite. Strong, physical, and honestly must-see viewing every single day. And the headline name today was rookie linebacker Arvell Reese, and it was not close. This was the first practice in full pads, meaning the first time we really got to see the physical side of these young players, and Reese absolutely stood out. He was all over the field against the run, flying to the ball on nearly every snap, and it is exactly why Harbaugh called him sharp for a first-year guy after practice. Now think about that for a second. This kid was the 5th overall pick in this year's draft, and he is already going up against the Giants' offensive line anchored by Andrew Thomas every single day in camp. That is exactly the kind of test that speeds up a young linebacker's development. Longtime NFL analyst Brian Baldinger, who was actually at practice watching in person, said you simply cannot take your eyes off Reese when he is on the field. He talked about the way he moves and his sheer size, calling it almost unfair for a rookie. And that is exactly why some people had him rated as the best overall player in this entire draft class, and exactly why the Giants felt confident enough to take him with the 5th overall pick in this year's draft. Seeing him already adding tools to his game, whether that is run stops, pressure on the quarterback, pass breakups, or sacks against elite tackles, that is a really encouraging sign this early in camp. And the defense also came up with 2 takeaways today. Linebacker Micah McFadden picked off Jameis Winston during team drills off a tip ball, and Jevon Holland grabbed that interception off Jaxson Dart that we talked about earlier. Good to see McFadden making plays like that after the injury issues he dealt with last season. Safety Tyler Nubin was also mentioned as a standout today, along with rookie corner Colton Hood, who reporters said really likes to hit and brings a physical edge whenever the pads come on. That is exactly the kind of energy you want to see building on the defensive side heading into the season. And running back Tyrone Tracy summed the whole day up pretty well after practice, saying iron sharpens iron. And honestly, that is a good way to look at this whole situation. Yes, the offense had a rough day. Yes, there were way too many penalties. But going against the defense that is playing this fast and this physical every single day in camp, that is only going to make the offense better in the long run, even if it does not feel that way right now. So where does this leave us heading into the rest of camp? The message is pretty clear. It is officially week 2, the walkthroughs are behind us, and it is time for the offense, and specifically Jaxson Dart, to start putting together stacked days. Preseason is only a couple weeks away now, and things are about to start moving fast. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss any of the training camp coverage as we build toward week 1 against the Cowboys.